TMC Member of Parliament Mahua Moitra was today questioned by the ethics panel of the Parliament. She was asked specific questions on whether she violated her login credentials, giving it to private individuals who may have had a conflict of interest with the Adani Group. She was also asked questions on whether there was a financial quid pro quo for those questions that she asked, some of them connected with this corporate group. She, of course, answered those questions. She did make a case out as to how this entire thing was brought against her by somebody with whom she had a personal relationship and then a fallout, and that it went on. The whole questioning by the ethics panel went on for a good 2.5 hours, after which something happened in that meeting and she dramatically stormed out. To the reporters who were waiting outside, Mahua Moitra said that she was asked very deeply personal and offensive questions by some members of the ethics panel. Some of those members of the ethics panel dispute her claims. They say they simply asked her very valid questions about her travel, who funded those travels, about her login credentials, who else was using her login credentials. Very valid questions which she was subject to. Irrespective of whether these questions were personal or whether these questions were valid, the point is Mahua Moitra has been in the hot seat for the last couple of weeks. The onus is on her to clear the air, to clear her own name, her own reputation, not just on the question of sharing login credentials, but more importantly also on whether there was any kind of financial or non-financial quid pro quo for those questions. Has Mahua managed to clear the air, or has today's dramatic set of events only made the cloud of suspicion on her that much stronger? Was it politics or was it provocation? That's the debate tonight, but first the story.
What happened? He's reading from a script. This is an ethics committee. What happened, Mahua? Script. Asking all sorts of filthy questions.
In the ethics committee, unethical questions were being asked from a lady member.
And you're saying that the chairman asked these questions?
Yes.
He felt that he was being kind of undignified, and the way he was questioning the lady MP. Instead of
What was he asking?
He was saying, where are you traveling? Where are you staying there?
तो क्या एथिक्स कमेटी को ये पूछने का अधिकार नहीं है किससे आपने ड्राफ्ट कराया, फोन नंबर क्या है, कॉल डिटेल क्या है? ये आप पूछने का अधिकार नहीं है। यदि ये पूछा जाएगा तो पर्सनल हो जाएगा।
महुआ मोइत्रा के द्वारा उसमें सहयोग करने के बजाय क्रोध से क्रोधित होकर कमेटी के ऊपर, कमेटी के चेयरमैन के ऊपर शब्दों का प्रयोग करते हुए
All right, clearly there is deep contention between the government members and the opposition members as far as what happened in the ethics committee is concerned. But let's not take away from what is critical in this matter, and those are the charges against Mahua Moitra. And charge number one is that she illegally shared her login details with Darshan Hiranandani. Her claim is that she's not shared the NIC credentials. What she shared was the login for the Parliament portal, the Lok Sabha portal. Charge number two is that she used or allowed the use of her login credentials by a third party, in this case a corporate house which may or may not be directly sort of competing with the corporate house against whom she's been raising questions. They used that 47 times out of the 60-odd questions that she's asked. 47 times that login ID was used from Dubai, not from within India's borders. Charge number three, that in lieu of those questions, she received gifts and cash to pose those questions to the central government, to the Modi government. Charge number four, she also had access to a Dubai-based tycoon, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, and that threatened national security. And charge number five, that she conspired to bolster the interests of a particular businessman who she says was a friend of hers, but more critically, that businessman may or may not have had a direct conflict of interest with the other business group that she was railing against, the Adani Group. Now, as the ethics panel was holding this hearing today against the TMC MP, all hell broke loose. The TMC MP, along with other opposition members of the ethics panel, they walked out in what was very dramatic scenes that happened in the Parliament complex. Let's just play that out once again for our viewers, and then we'll go across to our debate.
An ethics committee who is reading from a script, asking all sorts of filthy questions. All the MPs are here.
People are walking out in protest.
We have walked out from the committee. So they are asking an ethical question.
सर आप लोगों ने वॉकआउट क्यों किया है सर?
वॉकआउट इसलिए क्या कि रात में किससे बात करते हो, क्या बात करते हो, ये चेयरमैन मुझे ये क्या मतलब है? It's too much.
Where are the tears in my eyes? You're making up any rubbish. Tears in your eyes. You see my eyes and the tears in it. Then what are you talking shit for? Tears in my eyes.
All right, now Mahua Moitra has tweeted her response, and this is part of our Motorola India's Best 5G Smartphone Brands tweet of the day. We'll go to that just right now.
Hello, Moto.
All right, so Mahua Moitra has tweeted out a letter to the Lok Sabha Speaker with a detailed counter, and this is what it says. Unethical, sordid and prejudiced behavior was meted out to me, subjected to proverbial vastraharan by ethics panel chief. That's the word that she's used. There is no evidence of any cash changing hands. That is again her contention, that there was no quid pro quo, no money trail that's been established by any of the complainants or the corroborative sort of account by the businessman in question. There's been no misuse of my official credentials. Remember, the NIC gives you an email, an official email and a password. She says that that was not violated. It was only the login portal. No unauthorized or unsupervised questions were submitted on her behalf. Request the Secretariat of Parliament to disclose the login rules for all MPs, and inaction by the ethics panel when the government snooped using Pegasus. Remember, she was also one of those members who a couple of days ago got an Apple alert, a threat notification saying that you could potentially be the victim of a state-sponsored attack. No action over unethical conduct by members of the ruling party without specifying who those members are. Questioning the government is countered with harassment, is what she's also said in that letter to the Speaker, and she seeks protection from being subjected to personal humiliation. Let's now go across to our big debate. Mahua Moitra fumes at the ethics panel. She walks out. Is this provocation or is this pure
Moto.
politics? That's our debate tonight here on Prastax. So let me open this up to our guest, Shazia Ilmi, spokesperson of the BJP, who's joining us. Riju Datta is spokesperson of the TMC. Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, who's also joining us. And Gargi Nandi Roy, political analyst. Now, Riju Datta, we don't know what these questions were, which Mahua is saying was deeply personal, filthy, etc. Point is that whatever questions she was being asked by the ethics panel and the cloud of charges against her are very serious, isn't it incumbent upon her to sit there and answer those questions and clear her role beyond any reasonable doubt on whether she was asking questions on someone else's behalf and whether there was any kind of quid pro quo for those questions? What is the point of this dramatic storming off and saying these are personal questions, these are filthy? That doesn't serve any purpose. Riju Datta.
Now, so let me start off by saying that, this so-called ethics committee needs to be renamed first. It does not have any model code of conduct, neither it has any moral code of conduct. It's an ethics-less committee. Our honorable member of the parliament had certain allegations against her. She went there to answer the questions. And you are asking me what questions were asked? The questions asked of a lady member of parliament was, "Aap raat ko kahan rehte ho aur raat ko kisse baat karte ho?" Are these the questions related remotely to the allegations made against her? First of all, it was nothing short of scenes from the Mahabharata. It was like Draupadi's Chiraran, where the chairman of the ethics committee played the role of Dhritarashtra and the other BJP goons there played the role of Duryodhan. This is shameless beyond, beyond words. The bottom line is very simple, Zaka, and I'm speaking to the millions of viewers of your channel. If the ethics committee, first of all, it does not have any criminal jurisdiction. Secondly, if the BJP had even one shred of evidence that she has taken gifts or cash in return for any favors, then BJP would have filed an FIR and put her behind bars. So they do not have anything. All this is, this drama, this national media circuses, just to choke the voice of dissent, so that Mr. Modi and his boss Gautam Adani cannot be questioned in the parliament.
No, one second, Riju. Before I go to the other guests, one second. Let's not brush aside the gravity of the charges against her, right? Whether or not there was a financial trail, whether or not she got gifts and in kind for these questions asked, that is something that a criminal investigation has to establish. But it is a fact, as per her own admission, that she gave login credentials to a person who is not just, some private secretary or some PRS staff. That person is the scion of a corporate house whose family business directly is in competition with the corporate house that she's been railing against. That is not a small matter. That's a very serious, very grave charge, and she has to answer that before the ethics committee.
Two points I'll just mention to you and to your viewers. First of all, is there by the ethics committee of the parliament any law that says you cannot give your ID or password to somebody else? It is not the NIC ID, email ID. It is the ID password for posting questions. Point number one. The point number two is, when BJP was saying all this about national security and everything, please tell me, Zaka, if the questions you can get those questions by filing a normal RTI. How is that a part of national security when you can get those questions by filing a normal RTI? So all this, again I'm saying, all this national media circuses just to choke the voice of dissent.
So let me go across to Shazia Elmi. Shazia Elmi, you're a woman politician. You don't need me to tell you, how the deck is stacked up against mainstream women politicians. Mahua Moitra claims, and forget about what Mahua Moitra is claiming, there are 6 other members of the opposition who are part of the ethics panel. A good number of them, Danish Ali, Uttam Kumar Reddy, a whole bunch of other opposition MPs who are part of this ethics panel, walked out along with Mahua Moitra and said, what is this rubbish? Why does the ethics panel need to know where she was staying the night when she was going on a trip to Dubai? Who she was speaking to at night on the phone? I mean, what relevance does that have with the issue at hand? And surely, any woman MP or politician who is in Mahua Moitra's position, being asked such questions, would be rightfully angry, would be rightfully, cheesed off. You wouldn't dare ask such a question to a male MP. Shazia.
Why not? There are male MPs who have had to resign. So first of all, I would like to say that whether it's impropriety or matter of privilege or ethics, when it comes to corruption or impropriety, where the law is concerned, law is completely gender neutral. That's one, and most important in this matter that we're discussing right now. Now tell me, there are male members who have lost their membership and have been suspended and even thrown out for much smaller crimes or misdemeanors. Do you think Mahua Moitra, who is finding herself in a soup of sorts, is just muddying the waters and bringing this angle and using this old hackneyed victim card of मैं woman हूँ, मेरे से सवाल पूछे जा रहे हैं? When there's a matter of gifts, you have to have trace and find out about quid pro quo. One is it indicts her in many ways when you look at the facts of the matter. Darshan Hiranandani, conflict of interest with the group she has been rallying against. 50 out of 61 questions all against one group. Data center, talking about data localization, being part of the committee and raising the same question that obviously on which Darshan Hiranandani and his group has lost the tender and in West Bengal.
No, Shazia,
So,
one second.
look,
I think we're going all over the place. One second, Shazia. Let me come to the pointed question. Let's come to the pointed question of what happened today.
Allow me.
Right?
No, I will say.
Like I said, she is claiming, and it's being corroborated by other opposition members of the ethics panel, that she was asked questions like, which hotel were you staying? Who were you staying with? Who funded your hotel stay? Now, please tell me, Shazia, for any woman politician who's put in the hot seat, are these questions to be asked, and what relevance do those questions have with the matter at hand?
Who's funding your foreign trips? Who's funding the hotel stays? Who are you talking to in vis-a-vis this matter? It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. If you were a man and you were in this place and you were a member of parliament and you were indulging in impropriety and blatant corruption by working with another a business party, in rallying against another business party and using your MP status and giving your login and your password to another person. Darshan Hiranandani could be a woman for that matter. But the fact of the matter is not the gender here. The fact of the matter is the corruption here.
Okay.
And establishing of quid pro quo.
Very quickly, Riju, gender does not matter. She may try her best to play the victim card. Fact of the matter is, login credentials were compromised. And what the ethics committee was seeking to establish was, were there any financial favors in lieu of those? So, who was funding your trip to Dubai is a valid question, according to the BJP.
Zaka, see, yes, when the BJP says that the law should be equal, gender equal, I agree with that. But just imagine me as the TMC spokesperson asked the BJP spokesperson the same questions, that where were you last night, where were you staying and who were you talking to? You will have my head on a stick on the next debate.
Yes.
So,
yes, if I was corrupt, you should ask me that question.
Okay,
if I was a member of parliament and I was a businessman funding me, or a businesswoman, you should ask me that question. Is that businesswoman or a man funding me?
Okay.
Not.
Okay, Shazia, one second. Let him finish. Shazia, let him finish. Let him make the point, and then I'll come to you. Yeah. Let him make the point. Yeah. Yes, let him make the point.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, Riju, make the point.
Thank you. Now see, I'll give you a chronology to your viewers. Every session, whenever there were questions asked against particularly Mr. Adani, the MPs, and I'm naming the MPs. You take from my party, my Rajya Sabha leader, Derek O'Brien, every session is suspended. Second, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, some frivolous thing, he was suspended from the parliament. Sanjay Singh, they got him arrested. Mahua Moitra, they want to shut him up with this bogus charges. And if what Ms. Ilmi is saying, there is corruption. Corruption is a criminal offence. What will ethics committee do with a criminal charge? The ethics committee cannot put you behind bars, Zaka, right?
Okay.
The only thing they can do is they can suspend you for
all right, one second. Let me put a timeout on this for 1 second. Let me just put a timeout on this for 1 second. I want to play out what Mahua Moitra said. Can we just play that out? What Mahua Moitra said right after this entire dramatic scenes that happened earlier this evening. You know, she stormed out of the ethics panel. There were other members of the ethics panel who stormed out along with her. Danish Ali, you could see, Uttam Kumar Reddy of the Congress. There were others as well. There were about 4 or 5 of them who came out and said the same things. Let me just play out that sound bite, and then I'll go across to our other 2 guests, Rashid and to Professor Gargi Nandi Roy.
Initially, the rule is that one doesn't talk about what happens in ethics committee meeting. I think for the first time in history today, at any committee meeting, that you had people often boycott and walk out. And I've been in committee meetings where we boycotted or walked out. That's different. But you had 5 members of the committee. There were only 11 people present. 5 members of the committee walked out in protest and boycotted the proceedings at the chairperson's behavior. It was anything but an ethics committee. It was the most unethical hearing possible, where the chairman came with a pre-written script from which he was reading out, which contained the most disgusting, invasive private details about my personal life, which had nothing to do with the hearing whatsoever. The two issues which were supposed to be decided was the issue of the NIC login portal. I was not even given a copy of the NIC report. I've already said that from 2019, my NIC login, my questions were done by somebody in my friend's office. I've already said that there was nothing and there were no rules governing it, and every MP shares it with at least 10 people during the course of their tenure. So we said that was the issue to be decided. Number one, what were the rules around it? What rule have I broken, if any? That's it. The chairperson insisted on asking the most cheap, sordid questions about my personal life, including who do you talk to at night? How many times? Can you give me those call details? Have you been to a hotel with X? Have you stayed there? Where have you been in the last 5 years? Where all have you been? I mean, then he says, you call so-and-so a dear friend. Does his wife know about this? And he mentions the wife's name. What is going on? He was warned repeatedly. Only the chairperson was questioning. The rest of the BJP members were fine.
Okay. So, Rashid Gidwai, this is her version of events. There are BJP members also, Rashid, who have come out and said that none of this was asked. All she was... One second, Shazia. There are other two panelists also. Let me go to them, please. Rashid, there are BJP members of the panel also who have come out and said none of this was asked. What she was asked were very valid questions. Two things that she definitely needs to clarify on. Number one, what business did she have giving her login credentials to somebody who's a business rival of the very corporate group that she has been railing and ranting against? That's number one. That's a valid conflict of interest question. The second question that she was asked is quid pro quo. What about all these LV bags and Hermes scarves and whatever other expensive gifts that she, as she says, Darshan is a friend of hers, was giving to her? Why? What for? I mean, you just don't shower such expensive gifts for no reason, right?
Zaka, I think it is slightly problematic and disturbing that a woman's, personal conduct, her otherwise, robust social life is being brought in question for all these things. I don't know whether login from, Dubai in this time and age in terms of technology is a matter of, grave, national security threat, etc. Mahua is herself to be different, but I think the way the focus is being on her personal life, it reeks of, patriarchal approach, and, she's been, subjected to a lot of things which have been avoided by those, who brought recently Women Reservation Bill and got it a historical bill passed. And look at the BJP's double standard, Zaka. In 2005, when the cash for query, this thing by Cobra Post, that sting operation resulted in expulsion of 11 parliamentarians, 6 of them were from BJP. What was LK Advani's stand then? He said it's a kangaroo court. They did not get fair trial. And in this case, why can't the BJP be a curious bystander? How come, it's a matter of between ethics panel and a member of parliament? Zaka, just let me remind you, all those people who have leveled allegations against her, they were all her personal friends. So we do not know what was the nature of relationship, what happened. But this kind of interference in her personal life, I find it a little disturbing. She may have committed impropriety, wrongdoings and all. I'm not there to defend out of that count. But the whole thing is she seems to be victim on grounds of her gender.
Okay, victim on grounds of gender, Professor Gargi Nandi Roy.
No.
Why do you disagree with Rashid's characterization of what happened today?
This has nothing to do with gender issues, Zaka, neither with patriarchy. What Mahua has done is absolute breach of her parliamentary privilege. There have been 47 logins from Darshan Hiranandani's office in Dubai. She was not supposed to give that. So obviously the ethics committee had to know where was her location when the logins happened. And then Darshan Hiranandani has himself said that he had funded her trips. So obviously the question will come now that when you went abroad, who funded? And 15 times, I don't think she visited her constituency as many times she has gone abroad without informing the speaker. So she went, and obviously who funded that? And when she comes, okay, few cosmetics, she herself accepted Bobby Brown cosmetics. What is the cost of Bobby Brown cosmetics? The rule is if a parliamentarian gets any gift above 5,000, she has to report that. Did she do that? No. The learned panelist Kidwai ji spoke about the Cobra post and 2005 case. So there is a precedent. 11 people were expelled, of 6 were BJP. I agree. So there was 1 Congress also, 1 RJD, 3 BSP also. And back in 1951, H.G. Mudgal was forced to resign for cash for query from the Provisional Parliament. He had only taken 5,000 rupees. But none of these people, none of these incidents we see that they had given their login ID. So which is a criminal offence, because this could have endangered the security of the country. Imagine anybody else. She is member of so many standing committees. So anybody else hacking from there could get important information. So what she has done is a criminal offence. What Riju said that their ethics committee does not have the power to take criminal offences. Okay, ethics committee will recommend it to the speaker and she will have to resign or she will be expelled, and it is already with the CBI and CBI can investigate that. And what has she done? She is very good in creating drama and ruckus. See what she has done in the parliament. She has created drama, and in the garb of attacking Mr. Modi and Adani, what she did is she served the interest of Mr. Darshan Hiranandani. Of the 50 questions, let us talk about, take up few questions, Zaka. Say her question on the Paradip port, the MOU between GAIL and Adani and IOC. What happened then? Who won the bid for natural gas, oil and gas pipeline there? Hiranandani won that bid for natural oil and gas. Why? Then again, she was not asking any question about her constituency. Her constituency is suffering. The river in her constituency, Anjana, has dried. No question, nothing for that. She raised a question on the handling capacity of Kolkata port. And then we see Darshan Hiranandani entered into an MOU with Kolkata Port Trust. She raised question about the readiness of 5G, and then we see Yota, a company of Hiranandani, apply for license for global mobile personal communication satellite rights. So just see, these are not coincidences. So obviously the ethics committee had to see that there are 47 logins. She had gone 15 times abroad, which she's not supposed to. She did not inform the speaker. She did not mention about the gifts. Her house, government house, was redeveloped or renovated by Darshan Hiranandani. Darshan Hiranandani himself said that she is so dominating, she was so assertive, and to get facilities in non-BJP state, Darshan Hiranandani was literally forced to shower on her.
Okay. Now, once again, let me ask Riju to respond to this. Riju, the fact of the matter is that when people elect a member of parliament, in her case, the voters of Krishnanagar, expect her to raise questions that are of concern to the voters of Krishnanagar, right? Now, of all these questions that she's asked, 62 of them, I believe the login from Dubai was 40 plus times. What does it concern the voters of Krishnanagar?
47.
I mean, these are questions that you can agree or disagree that it may have a conflict of interest with another rival corporate group. I had Mahua on the show a few nights ago and she said, you know, Hiranandanis have no clash with what the Adani business is. But fact of the matter is, none of these questions have anything to do with her constituents either. The people who voted her to public office.
Zaka, Mr. Amit Shah, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, they are also members of parliament. When was the last time they have asked a single question about their constituency on the floor? So, you know, these are frivolous comments. See, the basic problem is these BJP people have problem with Mahua Moitra's Louis Vuitton and Salvatore Ferragamo. But what they don't know is that before she joined politics, she was a banker and she was using Louis Vuitton before BJP can spell Louis Vuitton. That is the problem. BJP is a bunch of chauvinistic, you know, politicians who cannot take a woman asking questions. And again, I will say, when Mrs. Gargi Randi Roy was saying, you know, Darshan Hiranandani getting this favor, that favor, what they don't know is that Darshan Hiranandani has 30,000 crore investment just in Uttar Pradesh only. And Uttar Pradesh is run by BJP's blue-eyed boy, Mr. Yogi Adityanath, and it's a BJP government there. Darshan Hiranandani has more investment in BJP-run states than in non-BJP run states. So what kind of a debate are we having? If there was corruption, I am telling you, BJP would have arrested her by now.
It's very unfair,
there is no proof.
Given me the lead.
There is no proof at all.
Okay, let Shazia respond. Shazia, it's fine. These are brickbats that I face on a daily basis. It's okay, it doesn't affect me, but go ahead. Please make your point. The point that you need to make, is what is the criminality involved, and if there is criminality involved, let the agencies investigate. Why the agency is not investigating this? Who is the ethics panel to investigate criminality?
So while Riju Datta waxed eloquently about the investment of Adani Ports in UP, he very sweetly and cutely forgot to mention the big investment in Tajpur Ports, New Tajpur, which has been made by Mamata Banerjee and has given the tender to Mr. Adani. It is more than 15,000 crores, and there is the green studies are already there going on, and that is what is going on there. So it's very convenient to talk about other states. So Mr. Riju Datta, please don't muddy the waters. We are not fools. And secondly, and most importantly, the fact that I was raising earlier, the questions of data localization, the questions on Adani Ports, even if they are valid, you know, there are a lot of journalists and there are a lot of politicians who are sometimes whistleblowers who want prevention of corruption, but there are some who take on a corporate only to benefit another corporate group. In this case, it was not because she did not believe she believed that there was anything wrong happening with the Adani Group. She was helping a friend. It could be a woman, it could be a man. It doesn't bother me. Darshan could have been a brother, could have been a son, but the fact of matter was that it was an interested party. There was conflict of interest. What was a quid pro quo which led her to her giving the login ID? I'm not talking about an Hermes scarf or a Louis Vuitton. I'm not even talking about the war of custody with Henry I or Henry VIII. I'm not interested in any of that. But I'm talking about specifically a businessman who gives and she admits it. And when it comes to giving interviews on her own, she unsolicitedly gives answers and gives information on her personal life. But questions that were asked was, how many times did you visit Dubai? When did you meet Mr. Darshan Hiranandani? Which hotel did you stay in? Who paid for that hotel? These are very valid questions. Any man or a woman should be asked those questions. And when she did not answer, these questions were repeated. These were the questions asked. So Riju Datta is lying here. And I want to tell Rashid Gidwai, please, you know, being a woman will not give you immunity against impropriety and corruption. Remember that. You can play the woman card, man card, transgender card, doesn't matter.
Woman card does not work because here the question is whether the MP violated A, parliamentary privileges, and B, whether she got any financial and non-financial rewards for the questions asked. Why should, of the 62 questions she's asked as a member of parliament over the last 5 years, why should 47 of them have been logged from Dubai or wherever else? That's a valid question for the ethics committee to ask.
Yeah, Zaka Ethics Committee is seized of the matter. They are applying their mind. They have not given verdict. But my friends from the BJP and their sympathizers seem to have made up their mind. They think, Mahua Moitra is guilty. And that is, I find it that is bit, problematic. That's point number one. Second thing I am saying, the trial by ethics panel, the BJP itself in 2005 had described it as a verdict of a, kangaroo court. They have not responded to that particular thing. See, is there a law that says that you cannot log in from Dubai?
They were suspended, period.
No, they were expelled, by the way. They were expelled, they were not suspended. There's a world of difference between the two things.
So they were expelled.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And the BJP protested about it. Mr. Adani had protested. I'm not going into that case. I'm just saying, what is BJP's interest? What is BJP's interest? If she was doing
Mr. Adani can be protesting, but should Mahua be expelled by the same logic? You said it, should Mahua Moitra be expelled? Mahua Moitra should be expelled. By the same logic, Mahua Moitra should be expelled immediately. Isn't it?
Yeah, let the
why
committee
bringing issues of gender? You yourself admit, doesn't matter what Mr. Adani felt of protesting.
You are a woman,
the fact of the matter was that they were expelled.
Why is her personal life being,
and this is a quid pro quo. And the question
all right, I got to leave it at that. I will simply say that, the point of the ethics committee to find out whether there was a breach of ethics, there was a breach of trust of the voters who voted her to parliament, and whether or not she compromised that by giving her login credentials to an interested party, somebody who is a corporate rival to a group which she has been railing and ranting against. Those are the matters that absolutely and ultimately will decide her continuance as a member of parliament. It's rather unfortunate that, this thing got wound up in all the personal stuff that happened today, which led to her walking out and storming off, and other opposition members of the ethics panel storming off. But we'll see how this plays out, because this isn't the last that you've heard on this story.